Hello everyone, the Duke here, and today I'll be doing a brief review of Signalis. I got this game for free from a friend on Steam, and I've had quite a lot of fun with it. It's $20 on Steam and is a survival horror game, one that I've heard compared to the original Silent Hill and Resident Evil, and it starts off with you waking up on a ship with no memory how you've got there, and you've got to figure out what's going on there, and with this facility you find yourself in that's filled with creepy monsters. The game is taken from a top-down perspective and has pixel art graphics which are fantastic. Also, I think it's not volumetric light, but it has a really good lighting system and there's a lot of attention to detail here and there. Also, the sound design is absolutely fantastic. Not only is the soundtrack great, but just the sounds of your guns feel good to use, and just the sounds of combat, really everything. It provides a really good ambiance and really gets you in the mood. Now, this is an inventory management game, as you only have 6 slots to carry not only your weapons, but also quest items, healing items, and also utility items. This means there's a level of tactics you have to use to, well, let's say you're going into a new room. It's dark, so you need a flashlight, but you might need a lot of weapons and ammo to go in there, but also you need healing, and there's also a quest item in there, so you really have to balance out what you do in order to succeed. This game is chock full of puzzles, which I had a lot of fun with. Typically, puzzles in games, they're either dirt easy or they just go over my head and I feel like an idiot. This is one of the first games I actually didn't have to Google any of them, which I'm very proud of. The game provides interesting ways of solving the puzzles, one being the radio system. It's implemented in a way that I hadn't really seen other games do, and I had a lot of fun with it. One thing to note is to read every piece of paper and, well, anything clickable that you can. It helps reveal the story and gives you helpful clues as well. Oh, and the radio is also necessary for the secret ending, a fact that, well, I had no idea existed. I really liked it when you went into a new area and there was new puzzles, of course. It never felt like there was any slow time. You're always doing something. There's like 5 or so, it felt like 5 or so puzzles to solve, and so you're working on this one, where you work on this one, and this loops into this, and there's never a boring moment, of course, especially with the ambience being a little spooky. Now, of course I have to mention the story, and there'll be no spoilers. When I first finished the game, when I truly finished the game that is, I was left confused. I had absolutely no idea what had happened or really what the conclusion was. After many hours of researching lore videos, I'm still confused. And that's because the story is intentionally not told directly. It's very much up to interpretation. Could it be a dream? Could it be real or not? It's all up in the air, and it's intentional. As the self-proclaimed seeker of truth, as the guy in Dark Souls says, I want to figure out what happened. And so I'm naturally biased against this type of storytelling, but I do feel like there needs to be more information because there are a couple of elements in the story that are introduced kind of late into the game that are pretty critical to it, but you don't really have enough time to process it or think about it, and I personally wish there was just more information, not just saying, yes, this happened, this was real, but in general, just more information, if that makes sense. That's also because the world building in this is really good. I want to know more about the world itself, and again, it's always better to have a story that tells too little information and you wanting more, rather than to have a story that just unloads a bunch of crap on you and you're frustrated. But I didn't feel cheated by this. I've watched and I've played games with stories where they do something similar, but they do it in a way that makes you feel like that they had no idea what they were doing and they just ended it this way because they had no idea what they were doing. These people clearly have an intent with the game, and I really liked it, but again, I just wasn't the biggest fan of it. And this is just my opinion, and you don't really have to care. Oh yeah, and the game does this cool thing where you switch from like a top-down perspective to a first-person perspective. Overall, even with me not really enjoying how the story ended and how it was kind of confusing, I did enjoy the game a whole lot. The puzzles were very satisfying, the combat system and the inventory system always made you have to think about your decisions. You can't just run into an area, expect things to work out for you, and the soundtrack and audio design are phenomenal. Of course, as the visuals, like I said before, there's a really, really good presentation here, and there's clearly a lot of love behind this project, even if I didn't really like the story. If you're looking for an interesting pixel art survival horror like Resident Evil or Silent Hill game, I'd check out Signalis. Hope you enjoyed the video, and this has been the Duke, signing off.